Hi, my name's Joey. I'm with PerfectGardens.com. In this video, I'm talking about pruning your plants and what you should be doing for an indoor garden as well as an outdoor garden, really. Sometimes outdoor gardens can get away without doing these techniques because they have the powerful sun, but indoors you should always do these techniques. So what I'm talking about is pruning. And if you don't know what pruning is basically taking a cut from your plant or cutting a branch off of your plant in order to clean it up, in order to improve your airflow of the plant, just in order to basically give it a haircut is one way to think about it. You're going to kind of trim it up and you're going to clean it up so that it grows in a way that you would like it to grow and it doesn't grow however it decides to grow itself. So to give you an example, this plant here is about 17 inches tall. Now while I'm talking about pruning, I might as well let you know in our experience that we recommend you start flowering at this point. So if you start from a seed or you maybe get a cutting from somebody, you want to vegetate your plant until it's anywhere from 12 inches to 17 inches tall. And the reason is that your plant can double in size. And a lot of times it will double in size. So for example, with this plant, I got it to about 17 inches right now. If I were to start flowering it in my grow tent or in my indoor grow room, what would happen is it would probably double its size, which would mean it would end up being about 34 inches tall. Okay? So a lot of times people make the mistake. They start growing, they want to grow it really big, really healthy, because that's, it makes a lot of logical sense. You grow a big plant, you get a big yield, everything's good. But when you're indoors, you got to consider that your plant's going to grow up and out, so you got to consider how much space do you have, is it easy to contain it. Sometimes when they're really big inside, it's a little bit harder to deal with, especially if you don't have a very large space to grow with in the first place. So when you're thinking about growing indoors, consider that you're going to grow a little bit smaller plants than you would outside. If you're outside, go ahead and grow a monster plant, no issues. You got plenty of space, you got plenty of room, and you got plenty of light. But when you're growing indoors, you don't have as much of that stuff. So you have to make sure you do it in a strategic way that's going to make you have a better grow and have a better yield in the end. So let me go ahead and get a little more specific on how we should be looking at this plant and its height and pruning it. So here you can see I have a meter stick right next to my tomato plant. And as we go up, we're getting right around 16 inches. Almost to 17 inches. It really depends how straight up I keep my plant. Right now he's kind of leaning a little bit, or she is, I should say. So anyway, this is an idea of what you can do. You want to measure your plants. You want to get an idea of how tall is my plant. So now my plant's almost 17 inches tall. So what am I going to do? I'm going to trim or prune the bottom 1/3 of my plant. The way you can determine the bottom 1/3 is you can take how tall your plant is and you can divide it by 3. In this case, we're at about 16, 17. So for easy math, let's just say 5 inches is 1/3 of the plant. Around 5 inches or so. And you can see where that is. And then the next third of the plant would be over in this area. And then the next third of the plant would be up here. So always want to trim at least at the bottom 1/3 of the plant. So if I'm going by that, then I know I'm about, between 5 and 6 inches is how much I'm going to want to trim. So I will take these branches away, I'll take these branches away, I'll take these branches away. So you see immediately these are the branches I'm deciding to take away. Honestly, I would probably even take this one away too, just because it's not very big, it's not very long, it's not going to get very much light, especially as all this ends up growing out. I would take this off as well. So let's go ahead and remove these, prune them off, and see what it looks like. Okay, now I have my scissors. They're brand new, they're clean. I'm going to go ahead and just take a snip off of there. I'm going to go ahead and get in here and take a snip as well. Make sure I just basically cut off my branch. I don't really want to cut the main stalk. I'll cut this part off over here. And like I said, I would probably recommend just cutting this off as well. It's not going to get very big. Now, let's take a look at how our plant looks. Now you can see I've trimmed the bottom 1/3 of the plant. I've removed foliage that's not going to do much for me anyway, because it's not going to get much energy, because it's not going to get much light. Light equals energy. So, now I have done two things. I've pruned my plant, which is going to clean up the bottom, which immediately you can see. Now, if I had a row of plants, it's going to be a lot easier to see what's going on at the top of my soil, and a lot easier to see You know, if I have any bug problems, mold problems, it just cleans it up. On top of that, all the air from my oscillating fan is going to be able to flow through and up the plant. It's not going to get stuck down here with those branches anymore. So that's going to increase my airflow in my room, which is going to make my plant a lot happier and a lot stronger. And I still have plenty of plant left. You know, there's not like I killed the plant or I hurt the plant. I have plenty of plant left, and it's perfect. It looks great. So like I said, it's really easy to prune your plant, and it's a simple process that I highly recommend everyone does. It's recommended that you do this at least before you go into your blooming phase. You don't want to be cutting your plant like this when you're in your flowering phase, because that's just going to stress it out, and that's going to take away from it developing your fruit or your flowers or whatever you may be growing. You want to do this during the vegetative stage, and you want to do it towards the end of the vegetative stage, because by then your plant has been well established. It's almost, you know, basically full grown now. It's very strong, it's very healthy, and it can take this type of abuse a little bit better than if it was a younger plant and a new plant getting used to its environment. When you do this, though, I recommend you feed with a B vitamin afterwards. One example of that would be B52 from Advanced Nutrients. This product is going to help your plant bounce back even faster from the stress that it's going to get from cutting those branches off. That is kind of like a surgery. You have to take it seriously. You're cutting branches off your plant that will harm your plant and will cause it to try to repair and callus up those spots that we cut. So using a B vitamin is basically just going to help it do that. It's going to help it deal with that and help it get healthier and bounce back from the stress a lot faster. Now, another thing I want to share with you guys is that what we cut off can be used to make cuttings. So, of course, not everything I cut off is going to be a perfect cutting, but a lot of these pieces of branches here can be turned into clones and can be turned into new tomato plants. So what some people will do is they'll kill two birds with one stone. Right before I'm going into flowering, I want to prune up all my plants, the bottom 1/3, to make sure they go in flower, and I don't have any waste of flower down here that's not going to get very large anyway because it doesn't receive much light. So I'm doing that. At the same time, I'm able to take some clones from my plant. I'm either going to make more plants from it, or maybe I'm going to sell this to a nursery. Whatever you decide to do, this is going to be making you a lot more productive. It's going to be making your grow worth a lot more money as well, because now you're not just growing one plant. You're potentially making multiple plants, so now you're producing plants, and you're also making sure your plant is growing as healthy and as vigorous as possible. So I hope this video helped you understand what you need to do when it comes to pruning your plants. I hope you have a little bit better understanding of how you can kill two birds with one stone by pruning and cloning at the same time. My name's Joey. I'm with PerfectGardens.com. Please leave a comment or send us a message if you have any questions in an email. PerfectGardens.com. Thank you.